Pictures on your screens of protests, of demonstrations at India Gate on one hand. On the other hand, you can see visuals of demonstrations outside Rashtrapati Bhavan as well. Live images coming to you from Raisina Hill. The voices of dissent, the voices demanding change, echoing in the corridors of power at highest office as far as this country is concerned, and also in one of the most recognizable images of the national capital of perhaps the country, the India Gate as well. The demand is one. We want justice. You can hear the chorus, the echo with these young protesters, student groups, students from universities, young people who've connected through social media. No one to lead them, so to speak, but the issue as well is one which has united them, which has brought them out onto the streets of the national capital. You can see students coming together, holding placards, and these are simple things that they're demanding. This is the basics that they're demanding. They want their own safety, the freedom that they want, that is guaranteed to them by the Constitution of India, the safety and the freedom that they want to walk and go back home from the streets of the national capital and other parts of the country as well, safely back home. They want this country to be safe for them, for their daughters, for their sisters, and that's why they're out there demanding the very same. Now, there are various measures, promises that are being made outside of Parliament. You see the political class coming together, trying to score political points by saying the government isn't doing this, we'll do this. But what needs to happen now is debate, is change inside the Parliament. You need strict laws, you need changes, because these people out on the streets demand that, they want that, and they deserve that. It's been too long, they say. Enough is enough, they've had it. Now, on one hand, you have a mentality which needs to change. You cannot have a sluggish attitude over this any longer. The nation will not tolerate this. Jugal Purohit has been witnessing these protests. He was at the police commissioner's office earlier. He's been tracking these protests across the national capital. Today he's at India Gate. Jugal, be it these various centers, where these demonstrations are played out, from student bodies, from youngsters coming together, demanding one thing. Certainly the nation is out on the streets, demanding the one thing that they have been for a long time. Now it seems the saturation limit has been reached. The patience has been breached. They want immediate action.
Well, Aditya, I'm barely able to hear you, but let me just tell you what I'm seeing is absolutely unprecedented, because on the Rajpath, where the Republic Day celebration preparations are undergoing on the lawn, we are seeing that on the streets, it is completely packed with all the protesters. In fact, they are moving from both sides, from the India Gate side towards the Rashtrapati Bhavan, and from the Vijay Chowk side towards the crowd which is coming onto the Rajpath. It's an unprecedented scene, and it only gives no credence to the fact that it is high time that our leaders and our administrators decide that they need to come down and engage with the crowd, and not simply indulge in the mere rhetorical and rationing of facts, as we saw yesterday that the Union Home Secretary and the Police Commissioner were doing. Clearly it goes to show that whatever they were attempting yesterday has absolutely got no height as far as the protesters are concerned. And we are seeing a peculiar situation where there is a very small police force which is outside, and there is a crowd of thousands. We do not know all these things, but it doesn't look very to say police, and even as we speak, the police is being mobilized. There are persons from the Central Reserve Police Force which are already out on the streets, and so are protesters. Obviously, the protesters far outnumber the numbers that the police can actually come up. But it just seems that the situation is heading towards a point where perhaps there may be something very unpleasant in store, but clearly not very.
Jugal, just stay on for a moment. Jugal, they're pointing out that the police is keeping a close tab on developments. They don't want the situation to go out of hand. These are high security establishments, but these protesters, it's beyond them at this stage. Their patience has been breached. These are surreal scenes, unprecedented scenes playing out from the national capital. Visuals coming to you from India Gate as well. Just soak in this situation, this atmosphere which is now playing out. One thing that they're all demanding, they want change, they want immediate action, they want justice. The sheer pain, the sheer anger spilling out onto the streets of the national capital, protesters, youngsters coming together while asking for change. Remember, this is for the 5th day running that you're seeing images similar to this. Today it's the national capital. It's images coming to you from Raisen Hill outside the Rashtrapati Bhavan. It was the Delhi Chief Minister's residence earlier. It was India Gate earlier as well, and it is now today too. People coming together, saying that enough is enough. The change must come through. You need to have strict laws to prevent any such further incidents. Jugal Purohit has been tracking developments. Jugal, you know, this is unprecedented. You've had similar movements in the past, in the recent past, be it the anti-corruption movement, you know, led by the Anna Hazare groups, the Aam Aadmi Party and various other such groups. Today, there is no one leading this protest. It is the issue itself which has got these people together, which has got them out onto the streets to demand something which is very basic, which is very fundamental to them, their freedom, and of course, the fact that they need to be safe on the streets of the national capital as in any other part of the country.
That's right, Aditya. In fact, these are all those who've been stressing on those aspects since a long time, that it is not really sort of a mobilization of a particular party or a union, but as we've been seeing for the last 4 or 5 days, people who are emerging onto the streets, are coming onto the streets, are people who are coming in smaller groups, are people who are coming in from schools, colleges. There are people who are just coming out of social connections. So one has to understand that this is not a movement by a certain party with a certain agenda, but it does seem that this is, as of now, a very genuine public outcry over the fact that in the national capital itself, women are not safe. The UP headed by a woman, the chief minister is a woman, and yet these people who have been talking to say that it is incomprehensible that despite so many years that have occurred in the city, the police always seems to be lagging.
Right.
And they just say that they're particularly angry with the way the police commissioner and the home secretary conductors themselves patting each other on the back.
Yes.
They say that this is something which is absolutely acceptable and that protest will continue.
Alright, Jugal, thanks very much for joining us. Let's also connect with Padmaja Joshi, also reporting from the India Gate. She's been speaking to several people who've come to India Gate to register their protests, have their voices heard. Padmaja, when you look at the anger on the streets, it seems, the political establishment, the police establishment is completely unaware. There's such a big disconnect. Yes, there's surprise, raids being conducted, there's surprise tours being undertaken, but you hear of the Home Secretary and the Police Commissioner saying, there's been fantastic efforts. They've done very well in pursuing investigations.
Absolutely. In fact, Aditya, what happened over the last 4 days has caught the government completely unawares. That's the way it seems, because there was this anger which it seems the government hadn't really anticipated. It's now that the Chief Minister is saying it's really good that such an outpouring has taken place, because it's the only way that any real action can be achieved. I'll try and speak to a few of the people who are over here. That these men, which is really heartening about this entire episode, is the fact that it's not just women who've come out in protest, it's also men who've come. Why are you over here? आपको किस बात का गुस्सा है? आप यहाँ पर क्यों हैं? किस चीज के लिए आपको zero tolerance है?
We are against the rape. We are against the criminals. We don't want this. We respect women, and that's the point. We want to respect the women.
And that's the important message that you think needs to be sent across, that it's only when men and women start respecting each other, that is when crimes like these can stop.
Of course, it always happens like this. In a country like ours, this is the capital. For heaven's sake, if the capital is not safe, nothing is safe. And we're standing right in the hub just to give this message across. That's it.
Alright, and it's also about the clear message that needs to be given, that this is not a woman's issue. If a woman gets assaulted, it's as much a man's problem as it is anyone else.
Yes, of course it is. It is totally, it's the entire society which is getting affected. We as humans are getting affected.
Absolutely.
It's the worst thing ever. I mean, like, this cannot be let loose. We need to change laws. We need to do whatever just to hang them wherever. Right away.
What exactly are your demands? You've all come out here. What are your demands? You've come here. You're advocating zero tolerance. What do you want?
We want justice. That's it. Nothing else. We just want them to hang here. Yeah, that's it.
Alright, and Aditya, that's really the kind of anger that we are seeing. People want immediate justice, and that is the anger that may come out in demands that are not really achievable. But there are several other suggestions as well, which are practical suggestions about fast-track courts that need to be put in place immediately across the country. These are a few of the snapshots that we are getting from India Gate, Aditya.
And Padmaja, there's a certain dual face which has been exposed as well. I mean, you're talking to these people outside, men also coming together as groups, and it's their problem too. It is their daughters, their sisters, their wives, their relatives who are also facing the, eve teasers, rapists on a regular basis. But when you talk about our politicians, several of them, crying in parliament, protesting outside the parliament. But what about their own party leaders, who are accused of rape, who enjoy top level security? That double face, that double speak has been exposed. Police officials being stung on camera, being caught on camera saying that, women are dressing provocatively and that is why rapes happen. This exposes, exactly what is happening. You can see live pictures coming to you from Raisana Hill, but Padmaja, it is this dichotomy, this double face which needs to go first for any movement forward.
Absolutely, Aditya, someone might argue that you're being a bit drastic when you're saying that when a politician makes a sexist remark, it's only a sexist remark. You cannot compare it to a rape. But the fact of the matter is, you either respect a woman or you don't respect a woman. That disrespect that you have for her can manifest itself in several ways, either through a sexist comment and in very extreme and violent cases, through a physical assault and a rape. So when a politician says reprehensible things like old wives do not give any more fun, or a Sanjay Nirupam goes on air and says you used to dance for money until 2 years ago and now
Yes.
you've turned into a political analyst. It betrays that kind of a sexist mindset. What kind of justice can we hope for from people like this who themselves harbor such sexist ideas about how women
Pablo,
should
just stay
behave,
on for a
and then
moment.
for the
Images
police
of
on the other side?
ruckus playing out from
That-
Raisana Hill. There are police trying to bring the situation under control, but the protesters were running amok there. They want their voices to be heard. You can see barricades there being held and put in place. The police trying their best to control this. People though breaching this cordon that has been put through, walking across, running across, and certainly becoming a big problem for the police to control as well. But this is their chant, this has been their demand. If you can't prevent rape, you can't protest like this as well. I'm okay to be raped, I'm not okay to protest. How is that fair? Protesters saying this, holding placards, holding banners. You can see the situation gone completely out of hand as far as the police establishment, the management there is concerned. People running through, breaking those barricades, that security cover that had been put in place, playing out, remember, at Raisana Hill, here in the national capital, and people walking through from Raisana Hill to India Gate, ensuring that today they are not muffled, their voices are not muffled. They've been, well, subject to water cannons, they've been subject to lathi charges outside the Chief Minister's residence, outside other places here in the national capital. When they've tried to have their voices heard, today they've said it's enough. They've come here in large numbers, they want their opinion heard, and certainly ensuring that their voice is not muffled today. Former Army Chief General V.K. Singh also reacting on the situation, offering his support.
उनको कोई डर नहीं है।
अगर हमने सरकार बनाने के लिए अपना वोट दिया है तो एक आम नागरिक की ये अपेक्षा होती है कि उसको सुरक्षा मिले, और अगर वो सुरक्षा नहीं मिल रही है तो सरकार को त्यागपत्र दे देना चाहिए, अपने घर में बैठना चाहिए।
क्या आप ये डिमांड करते हैं?
बिल्कुल, जो चीज संविधान के अनुरूप नहीं है वो अगर नहीं हो रही है तो इन लोगों की कोई जरूरत नहीं है। आज ये गुस्सा जो है क्या दिखाता है? यही दिखाता है कि सब चीजें फेल हो गई हैं। पुलिस रिफॉर्म आपके पिछले 15 साल से पड़े हुए, क्या हुआ उनका? इसी तरीके से बहुत सारी चीजें हैं जिसको ठीक होने की जरूरत है। आज हम सुनते हैं कि पुलिस कम है। भाई वो थानेदार क्या कर रहा था वहां? एसएचओ क्या कर रहा था? क्या उसको अपने इलाके की जानकारी नहीं थी? और अगर थी तो उसने पहले काम क्यों नहीं किया? एक गंदी घटना होने के बाद अगर आप किसी को पकड़ भी लेते हैं तो उसमें आपकी चतुराई नहीं है, उसमें कोई अच्छी बात नहीं है। अच्छी बात है जब आप उस चीज को ना होते।
अच्छा, आप यहाँ पर तमाम जो यूथ इकट्ठा हुए हैं उनका सपोर्ट करने आए हैं, आपकी अपनी डिमांड क्या है? आप क्या कहेंगे इस पूरी घटना पर? आप क्या मानते हैं?
देखिए, आवाज एक ही निकल रही है, वी वांट जस्टिस, वी वांट बेटर गवर्नेंस, वी वांट सिस्टमिक इंप्रूवमेंट इन द सिस्टम।
तो आप ये डिमांड करते हैं कि सरकार को रहने का हक नहीं है, लेकिन आगे इस तरह की घटना ना हो। सिर्फ एक घटना की बात नहीं है, दिल्ली में लगातार इस तरह की घटना रिपोर्ट होती रही है, तो आगे भी इस तरह की घटनाएं ना हो, सबक उनको सिखाया जाए। किस तरह का कानून आप चाहते हैं कि बने?
देखिए, बहुत सारी चीजें होने, इसीलिए मैंने कहा कि एक पूरा व्यवस्था परिवर्तन का मुद्दा है। सरकारी आंकड़ों के हिसाब से इस साल अब तक 582 रेप केसेस हुए, एक केस नहीं हुआ है। तो आज जो गुस्सा है वो सिर्फ एक चीज को लेकर नहीं है, ये पूरे सिस्टमिक फेलियर के लिए गुस्सा है। और ये गुस्सा अगर हम एक दिन में खत्म कर देंगे तो काम नहीं चलेगा। इसीलिए मैंने यूथ से अपील की है, इसको तब तक आप करते रहिए जब तक कि पूरे सिस्टम के अंदर बदलाव ना हो।
किस तरह का बदलाव सिस्टम के अंदर होना चाहिए? क्या किसी की अकाउंटेबिलिटी इस पर फिक्स होनी चाहिए? जो अभी तक 4-5 दिन हो गए हैं, सिर्फ गाइडलाइन, नई गाइडलाइन, नए कानून, सजा देने की बात हो रही है। क्या आपको लगता है कि अब कोई ठोस बदलाव दिखना चाहिए? किस तरह का बदलाव आप चाहते हैं?
अकाउंटेबिलिटी की जहां तक बात है, मैं एक बात बोलना चाहूंगा कि अकाउंटेबिलिटी पहले स्टेप से शुरू होती है। सरकार पहला स्टेप नहीं लेना चाहती है।
देखिए, ऐसा है,
पहला स्टेप नहीं लेगी तो आगे अकाउंटेबिलिटी बात कहां आती है?
बिल्कुल 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 दुरुस्त बात है। फौजी एक तरीका है, हर एक आदमी जिम्मेवार होता है। अगर आपने उसको कोई पद दिया, क्या हमने ऐसे लोगों को पूछा कि आपने क्या किया? वो एसएचओ है, वो पीसीआर जो वहां से मिसिंग थी वो है, जो लोग गश्त पर थे वो हैं, जो वहां का असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर है वो है, जो कमिश्नर है पुलिस के वो है, और उसके ऊपर बाकी लोग हैं, सब अकाउंटेबल है। तो सबकी अकाउंटेबिलिटी फिक्स होनी चाहिए, एक आदमी की नहीं। ये नहीं कहना चाहिए कि हमने वो 4 आदमी निलंबित कर दिए तो काम ठीक हो जाएगा। ये इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूं आपको, ये पूरा सिस्टम बदलना पड़ेगा। जब तक सिस्टम ठीक नहीं होगा तब भी कोई आदमी यहाँ पे सुरक्षित नहीं है।
तो अभी तक कोई अकाउंटेबल नहीं ठहराया गया है।
The former army chief, they're reacting to the current situation, saying the government has no right to be in power if they can't prevent this. Also talking about the Home Secretary and the police commissioner, saying, lauding each other about swift action as far as investigations in the Delhi gangrape case is concerned. He's saying that is no issue that we should be patting your own back about. We should have prevented it from happening in the first place. Pictures on your screens there from Raisina Hill. Police trying to bring the situation under control. Protesters, though, not stopping, breaching all barricades, running across. They want their voices heard. They want the president to listen to them as well. Jugal Purohit is with us. He's at Raisina Hill tracking developments. Jugal, just describe to us what is happening. Jugal, if you can hear me, just describe to us just what's happening at Raisina Hill. Protesters, demonstrators gathering in front of Rashtrapati Bhavan. I will reconnect with Jugal in just a moment. There's a lot of ruckus that you can see. The protesters breaching the barricades which were put in place. Now they have reached Rashtrapati Bhavan, the president. They want their voices heard and coming together. 5 days running, protests like these have played out. Now these people are tired, they're fed up of the inaction, of the empty voices, the words coming through from the political establishment. General V.K. Singh, former army chief, also reacting, extending his support to this movement, to the protesters. They're encouraging them to keep this on till there is visible action which is taken. Now groups, not just women, young leaders, young men also coming together, saying that this is our sisters, our daughters, who are people who are related to us. It is about us as well. This is not a woman issue. This is about India. This is about the safety of every Indian citizen walking out on the streets of the national capital, many other parts of the country as well. Thousands there coming together, uniting to seek an assurance. Jugal Purohit now joins us. Let's reconnect with him. Jugal, describe to us what you're witnessing at Raisina Hill.
Well, Aditya, this is an unprecedented situation. The entire Rashtra, which on one hand is getting on to celebrate the country's Republic Day, is now witnessing a very different and a very dissatisfied lot of its citizens. They've now actually reached the gates of the North and the South Block complex. So they managed to actually overcome this particular blockade that I witnessed in front of me. There will be nothing else left between the protesting crowd and the gates of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. It's a very unprecedented situation here. The police is also obviously aware of the fact that they cannot be seen as using force beyond the point, as this is finding and insisting a very genuine, a very genuine effort from the people's side to actually tell the rulers and the administrator how dissatisfied they are with whatever they've been able to do. One very particular point, and I basically that the protesters are trying to actually break away all the barricades that have been provided in their way and emerge on. They're making a very valiant attempt here. I was saying that, on one hand, we saw yesterday that the police commissioner and the home secretary actually came out and patted each other's back. Now, this is something which has not gone down well at all with the crowd. We've been speaking to a lot of these people who said that they did not expect the home secretary to come out and pat the back of the police commissioner doing the same to the home secretary. The mob is extremely dissatisfied with the way they saw a very unapologetic set of rulers and far from cleaning the situation as perhaps the government wanted it to have the effect of. It is only aggravated. And let me also share this with you, Aditya, that this is a Saturday, a day which is considered as a holiday for most. It's still pretty early in the day, 6:15, and I'm seeing that almost 1/4 of the complex is complete with the protesters. They've actually laid siege to the power edifice of our country, even as we are getting to celebrate our Republic Day. We do not know that from this point onwards how the government is going to handle these protests, because obviously on one hand there is a concern about VIP security and the need to ensure absolute law and order in the area. But on the other hand, clearly we are seeing that the protesters do not seem to be a relenting lot. They are chanting, they are individually targeting the policemen, they are saying that they are here to prevent them from going ahead. But where are they when there are times when a woman leads a policeman around her, times when they call for a police van? They do not come there, but this is where they are, trying to block their way. And they are, in a very unique way, appealing to all of them to tell them that they too are fellow citizens and that they should understand that this is a fight for their mothers, their sisters, and that they should join them. So it's a very unique protest, that we are witnessing here. The protesters who we've been saying seem to be very genuine in their cause, coming from disparate groups, are absolutely aghast at the way the police have stopped them, but they have not been stopped. I have personally witnessed them clearing at least 2 to 3 rounds of barricades and police prevention. There is the Delhi police, there is a central reserve police force. Apart from that, guarding the South Block are people from the army. So it is not that they are not being stopped, but they will manage, or rather they have managed to actually clear 3 blockades, 3 rounds of barricades by sheer force and sheer number and sheer will. And here they are, as I told you, just before the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Now, if they manage to clear these barricades, then the only thing that will separate them from the Rashtrapati Bhavan will be the single lower gates of the Rashtrapati Bhavan. It's a very unique situation out here, where the power edifices of the country laid in siege to the people of the country who want to say that the power that we have failed them and have not lived up to the expectation that they had. And this, it does seem, is something which is stemming from a lot of inherent anger against the administration. Only we are aware is not a new to these people, to such instances. But we are seeing that the people this time around are in no mood to listen to the excuses being given by the government and the administration. They are here to seek a change, and they feel that they will, no matter what, go from here only once they are assured that they will indeed seek some change, and that something new will be done for them. They are obviously not satisfied with whatever, be it the Delhi Chief Minister, be it the Union.
Just stay on for a moment. Let's try and listen in to what's happening outside Raisina Hill.
समझाने की कोशिश की जा रही है। मैं कैमरामैन से कहूँगा कि पुलिस वालों की तरफ से लगातार पुलिस के जो आला अधिकारी हैं वो समझाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, छात्रों को शांत करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, लेकिन अभी भी पुलिस के बीच संघर्ष जारी है। पुलिस वाले वहाँ एक्शन हो रहा दिखने तो अरे वो देखेंगे, वो बैरियर खींच रहे हैं। आप देखिए वहाँ एक्शन हो रहा, मुझे वो तो करने दो यार। देख सकते हैं कि किस तरह से संघर्ष हो रहा है बैरिकेड को ठीक पुलिस की तरफ से लगातार इसकी अपील की जा रही है। काफी गुस्से में है, क्रोध में है, साथ ही जो पहुंचे हैं और न्याय की मांग को लेकर ये लोग
Protesters there at the barricades storming Raisina Hill. They want to go past into Rashtrapati Bhavan, perhaps have the president of this country, the highest office, listen to them, to their voices, their demand for change. The police trying to bring the situation under control, speaking on their megaphones, trying to appeal to the crowds to try and understand, to try and go back from the spot, but the demonstrators will have nothing of it. You can see pictures, live pictures coming to you from Rashtrapati Bhavan outside Rashtrapati Bhavan from Raisina Hill. People there coming together, unprecedented scenes, police trying every method possible. You can see one of those vehicles with those crowd control vehicles with the water cannons mounted on it. The police still being very cautious, trying to ensure that they don't commit another blunder, don't be perceived to be seen as against the people, but definitely becoming a situation which is becoming very difficult for them to handle. Thousands here, more than hundreds, coming together since early morning today and breaking all barriers, breaking all barricades which were put in place to control them. Their voices have been muffled for too long, they say. We want justice. The chant that has been going on since early morning in one unison, in one chorus, echoing out around this entire complex, along Rajghat, along from the entire route that stretches from India Gate to Raisina Hill to the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Police trying to cordon off the area, trying to put in barricades in place. But at this stage, protesters breaching all the barricades which have been put in place. Fifth day running, these protests continuing. On one hand, scenes of anger against the police apathy, against the government apathy on this, their state of mind, their state as far as surviving in the city is concerned. On the other hand, the fight for survival for the Delhi gangrape victim goes on. One of many, yes, but certainly the trigger for this movement, certainly the trigger for this anger to spill out from the drawing rooms, go beyond the discussions which happen in behind closed doors onto the streets of the national capital, as also across this country, scenes that have been playing out from across the country. Today, reaching one of the biggest scenes here, becoming one of the biggest climaxes here in the national capital, demanding to have their voices heard by the President of India as well, demanding justice and nothing else. Former Army Chief VK Singh also being present at this scene, speaking to media personnel, saying that the desire, the demand is clear from the echo which has been ringing out. The demand for justice is clear and the government cannot be deaf long enough to not hear this, to not pay heed. This has to go beyond simple assurances from the government and now has to go and translate into strict action and effective action. Surreal scenes, unprecedented scenes coming out from the national capital. We'll bring you continuing coverage right here on Headlines TV.